If I were to ask you to name the most iconic American Chinese food item, what would come to mind? General Tso's chicken, maybe those takeout boxes, fortune cookies, or perhaps something so ubiquitous you might even have a few in your kitchen drawer right now. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a uniquely American Chinese creation, soy sauce packets. Hi, my name is Christy, and this is the American Chinese Food Show. After World War II starting in the 1950s, pre-prepared convenience foods began to gain popularity in the name of progress. This led to a surge in foods that were either cheap or quick to prepare. Enter a new era of packaged foods. Powdered drinks, sugar packets, and even barbecued sauce mixes, complete with a blend of 19 herbs designed to attach to a quart bottle of Kraft salad oil. But what about those liquid sauce packets that sometimes end up all over your food, hands, the table, and even your pants? The first could very well be barbecue sauce. In 1962, UPI published a brief story about individual barbecue sauce packets distributed to customers who bought roasted chickens in supermarkets. This was considered innovative because a similar packaging concept had previously only been used for toothpaste in hotels and hospitals. You're probably going, what? The first liquid sauce in packets is not ketchup? No, sure, in the same year, ketchup packets showed up briefly, but only as part of a picnic kit. If anything, ketchup came last. Heinz didn't come out with packet ketchup until 1967. Even duck sauce came before ketchup. Nationwide supermarket chain Food Fair started selling take-home shrimp rolls with free packet duck sauce and Chinese mustard. 5 for 79 cents. Families in Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and more got to enjoy squeezing sauce out from packets for their egg rolls. I couldn't find any pictorial records on what these packets looked like, but the first patents filed that resembled what we have today of plastic condiment containers at fast food restaurants showed up in 1936, 1946, and 1954. A primary object of the invention is to provide a container for sauce or syrup, the quantity held by the container being sufficient for a single serving, and the flow from the container being affected by squeezing or compressing the container. Soy sauce packets very quickly showed up after barbecue sauce around 1963, and who else other than La Choy would be the first people to offer soy sauce packets? La Choy was selling meal kits as early as 1925, before the people who came up with Blue Apron and Hello Fresh were even born. Make chop suey at home with a package of bean sprouts, chow mein noodles, and some protein with soy sauce. They continued selling it as a meal kit all the way to the 1960s when La Choy in 1963 introduced packets of soy sauce, not bottles anymore, that you add to chow mein and mix in a pan for 15 minutes. But soon after, La Choy developed the bi-pack, with the topping sauce in the main can and a separate can of chow mein attached to the top, a design they are still using today. So they never went further with the condiment packet direction. So the opportunity to make billions of soy sauce packets a year went to an unlikely man from the Bronx, New York. Howard Epstein started working for his father's business, Ideal Tea Packing Co., supplying private label tea bags to supermarkets like this Batman Punch-O after he graduated from Cornell with a science degree. But his heart was in packaging. He tried supplying dry soup mixes, he bought some equipment to begin packaging flavored freeze pops, he invented a plastic sheath called Perk-Ups that contained toothpaste, aftershave, and shampoo in packets, targeting motels that didn't go anywhere. He ended up buying a company supplying popcorn to movie theaters. He was getting bored when a Chinese salesman who worked for Howard's father approached him around 1968. Turns out not only do Chinese restaurants need tea bags, they also need sauce packets. Howard was like, hey, I know how to do that from my time making freeze pops. Let me try putting condiments in tiny packets in my popcorn factory. Howard Epstein was at the right place at the right time. The Chinese takeout business was about to skyrocket. Takeout became popular when people were glued to televisions that became widely available to American households. Chinese restaurants saturated small American suburban towns, and when Nixon went to Beijing in 1972, it kick-started the latest golden era of Chinese food in America. Kari-Out was born in the middle of all this. It was not the inventor of the packets. It was not the first to supply packets to restaurants. Chinese restaurants across the country were already providing soy sauce in their takeout orders as early as 1961. But it's such an American thing. You would never find any Chinese people just pouring soy sauce directly on food. It's a crime. It was also not a key player of soy sauce. Kikkoman landed in the States in the early 1900s on top of many more local brands. Kari-Out soy sauce is not even made with soybeans. They are American soy sauce made with chemically processed hydrolyzed vegetable protein and caramel coloring. There's no fermentation that takes months. In the case of Kari-Out, it's blended in a 500-gallon kettle, cooked for an hour, and pumped into a holding tank. From there, it is sent to a packaging machine, which creates the packets and counts 500 to a box. Asian manufacturers of traditional soy sauce try to stop hydrolyzed vegetable protein sauce from being classified as soy sauce. But the International Hydrolyzed Protein Council, who knew there is such a thing, and the USDA fought back. Because you know why? La Choy, an American company, had been selling it since 1933. It was making big money. This is how we call something with no soy in it soy sauce today in America. And the biggest question is, how did a Jewish man crack into the airtight Chinese restaurant industry? Howard recorded in interviews, "No one trusted me because it was the old times, the Chinese ran the business. No one would buy. I offered 10 cases free if they would buy one. No. Kari-Out's first brick didn't come from the Chinese. It came from airlines when affordable air travel became mainstream in the 1970s. Howard struck a deal to become the primary provider of soy sauce for in-flight meals. In the mid-90s, Kari-Out broke 1 billion packets a year. 10 years after that, more than 2 billion packets were made. It's not like Howard didn't try to go outside of Chinese food. In the 80s, he started a Hispanic line supplying the El Favorito brand of rice to supermarket chains. He also tried to manufacture for Italian and pizza eateries in the early 2000s. Despite these efforts, Chinese food remained his mainstay, sticking with him like his soy sauce on pants. This Jewish family-owned company today remains one of the biggest manufacturers of single-serve packets of Chinese sauces in the country. There are many manufacturers on the West Coast, big brands like Lee Kum Kee on top of smaller local suppliers. On the East Coast, though, the only worthy competitor is WY Industries. It was co-founded in 1977 by Fuzhonese immigrant Nelson Yeung in New York. Their packets were reaching 25,000 Chinese restaurants in 32 states, according to an interview with the New York Times in 1994. WY even took Kari-Out to court in 2008, alleging them of infringing upon their patent. Today, when you go to the Kari-Out website, all the pandas were scrubbed. Chinese restaurants may still be the biggest portion of Kari-Out's portfolio, from disposable chopsticks to specialty foods for the Chinese takeout kitchens like cooking wine and food coloring, but they have successfully integrated horizontally in the to-go food packaging business with 5 facilities supplying national food service distributors. They betted big on alcohol towelettes during COVID, invested $10 million on sustainable paper manufacturing in 2022, and even launched the first ever compostable condiment packet. But the company behind popularizing one of the most American Chinese food items remained loyal to its roots. Kari-Out's oolong tea bags are equally accessible today to Chinese restaurants and Chinese restaurant lovers alike. That's it for today's episode. If you like our content, subscribe to the channel. See you soon.